Dragon's Dogma has been on my radar for a while now. With access to the demo, I was finally able to get a hands-on experience with Capcom's new IP. I was surprisingly impressed with what Dragon's Dogma had to offer. However, I also have a few concerns which may reign true in the full version of the game.
Now choose, flee, or step forth.
Dragon's Dogma's strength lies in its character customization. It truly puts modern role-playing games to shame with the amount of options that are available to the player. You must customise 2 characters. One of these will be your playable character, the other one will be a pawn, which you may send over Xbox Live to a friend. The depth of Dragon's Dogma's character creation is based around creating an identity for your characters. With the ability to share characters online, Capcom needed a system which has the power to produce an unparalleled amount of unique characters, and it certainly succeeded there. There is only one race available in the demo, which is human, and you must choose your character's gender. From that point on, all similarities between 2 characters ends. Everything from hair colour to the way your character stands is available for editing in Dragon's Dogma. You can create a character from the tallest giant to the smallest dwarf, and then change how they look. There is an insane number of options available to the player, and creating your own characters has never been more fun and accessible. The character customization would have no impact on the world of Dragon's Dogma if the art style and presentation wasn't up to scratch, and I'm happy to report that it is. Dragon's Dogma features a medieval art style, which isn't necessarily unique, but it works with what Dragon's Dogma is attempting to do. The 2 levels that I played were marginally different in terms of setting, which is a good sign, as similar settings can quickly become the death of a role-playing game. The first level contained claustrophobic temple ruins, which appeared to be the home of a gigantic red dragon, whereas the second level contained open fields and the odd tree. As long as this variety holds up in the main game, Dragon's Dogma should have enough to entertain the player. One problem I did have with Dragon's Dogma was the character dialogue. With multiple characters on the stage at once, I found that characters had a tendency to talk over each other. Dragon's Dogma attempts to solve this problem by providing the subtitles in character-specific boxes, but even with this option, the audio could be overwhelming. When you couple this with the amount of information that is on the in-game interface, it soon becomes hard to focus primarily on your character. Overwhelming is definitely the name of the game when the topic is Dragon's Dogma's control scheme. With a control scheme being so intimately linked to the player's enjoyment of the gameplay, it was important that Dragon's Dogma got its control scheme right, and when looking at it from a wide angle, it did. Dragon's Dogma is not a game that you can expect to jump into and control straight away. There are a variety of different modes for each weapon, and each weapon has a variety of different attacks. On the positive side, this reflects the depth of Dragon's Dogma's gameplay, but do not expect to jump straight into Dragon's Dogma. There is definitely a learning curve in terms of controls, as I found myself pressing the wrong button for the wrong weapon many times before I finally got the hang of it. Dragon's Dogma's gameplay centres on combat. This is a highly action-based role-playing game, but the combat works. The character animations are strong, and when you land a hit, it feels like you've landed a hit. And with the variety of attacks, there's definitely space for a variety of tactics. Where Dragon's Dogma really shines is when your character is being attacked by large mythological beasts. Small battles against creatures such as goblins are really nothing to shout about in Dragon's Dogma. The true fun lies in battling giant creatures such as a chimera or a griffin. Each battle plays out differently, and you must approach each battle with different tactics. When approaching the chimera, it was necessary to destroy it in stages. First the snake, then the goat, and finally the lion. This differed from the battle with the griffin, where it had to set its wings alight to ground it. The added ability to grab onto your foes also adds a sense of action. There were times when I was flung off the back of the chimera after having slashed it relentlessly with my sword. It is certainly good fun. Your allies, also known as pawns, come in very useful during battles. They have the ability to heal you or grant bonuses such as extra damage. These come in very useful during larger battles. They will also grab onto larger enemies and help you bring them down. The pawns have enough sufficient AI to really help you through these tougher battles. One aspect of Dragon's Dogma that did ruin the gameplay experience was the camera. There were times during larger battles where I did not have a clue what was going on, and this was down to the fault of the camera. I'm glad to report this only happened once and should not affect the overall experience of the gameplay. One option which I'm truly thankful for is the ability to turn off the cinematic camera. During combat, your pawns have a tendency to pick up enemies and shout at you to stab them. This happens way too often and soon becomes annoying. Thankfully there is an option to turn this off, and I would suggest that you do so unless you enjoy being shouted at every 5 minutes. Dragon's Dogma looks like it has the potential to be a fun and solid game. With it arriving in stores just a week after Max Payne 3 on the 25th of May, it's hard to recommend an unproven game over games that have been developed by Rockstar. But with summer approaching and thus a drought of games on the horizon, Dragon's Dogma is certainly a game that you will want to pick up if you want a proper role-playing game that you can sink your teeth into. For the full written article, head over to www.x3news.co.uk.